Okay, you're going to look at this first parallelogram. We know opposite sides in parallelogram are congruent, so you should say negative 66 plus 8x equals 3 times the quantity x minus 5 plus 4. Um, what you want to do from there then is I'm going to rewrite my negative 66 plus 8x. From the right hand side, this becomes 3x minus 15 plus 4. Start combining like terms. Negative 66 plus 8x is equal to 3x. Negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. I'll add 11 to both sides, so it'll give me a negative 55 on the left-hand side, plus 8x is equal to 3x. Subtract 8x from both sides, so it gives me negative 55 is equal to 5x, negative 5x. Divide both sides by negative 5, and x ends up being 11. If x is 11, they want to know what BC is and AD. Well, those are the same, so just find one of them. If I got negative 66 plus 8 times 11, so 88, that will give me a total of 22. So BC is 22, and AD is also 22. Okay. Looking at the second one, we know that if this is a parallelogram, then the diagonals bisect each other. So finding x, I've got 5x plus 10. That diagonal right there, or that part of the diagonal should be congruent to that part of the diagonal. So 5x plus 10 should equal 3x plus 28. Subtract 3x from both sides, get 2x. Subtract 10 from both sides, I get 18. Divide by 2, x is 9. Finding m is a little bit more difficult, but it's the same property. That segment there should be that congruent to that segment there. Diagonals bisect each other again. So 42 plus 14m should equal negative 7m plus 3 times the quantity 7 plus 8m. Distribute on the right-hand side. So we get negative 7m plus 21 plus 24m. Combine like terms on the right-hand side. So the left-hand side still says plus 42 plus 14m. Right-hand side, negative 7 plus 24 is 17m. And then I've got plus 21. I'll move the 21 over to the left-hand side. So 42 minus 21 will give me a 21 plus 14m is equal to 17m. I'll divide both, or subtract 14m from both sides, so we get 21 is equal to 3m. So now m has to be 7. They want to know what AO is and OC. Well, AO is this segment here. Well, 5 times x plus 10, 5 times 9 is 45 plus 10 is 55. Now, hopefully you realize that OC should be the same thing. Number 3, if this is a parallelogram, there's several ways you could do this. You could say that this angle here is 7 halves x plus 12. Then add all 4 of these angles up and set them equal to 360 because it is a quadrilateral. Or you could have said, I know, because it's a parallelogram, that consecutive angles are supplementary. So 7 halves x plus 12 plus 35 should equal 180. When I subtract 12 and 35 from both sides, I get 7 halves. X is equal to 133. Multiply both sides by 2 to get 7x equal to 266. I divide both sides by 7, and I get x then to be 38. If x is 38, we then want to find out what the measure of angle ACB is. So we're looking for this angle here, but I know that this angle here is the same as that angle there. So I'll take 38 times 7 halves and add 12 to it, and I'll get 145. Okay. Another way to do it is say, well, heck, I know that these two angles are consecutive in a parallelogram. So 35 plus what has to give me 180. So 35 plus 145 has to give me 180. This question down here, opposite sides of a parallelogram should be congruent. So I get 6x minus 4y should equal 52. Okay, that side there and that side there congruent. And likewise, I know that these two sides are congruent, so I'll say 8x plus 2y is equal to 84. Now this equation, or these two sets of equations are systems. I needed something to cancel out. I'm going to cancel out the y's, so I need to change this bottom equation, multiply everything by 2, so my y's will be opposite coefficients. So the top equation doesn't change anything. I'll rewrite that as 6x minus 4y is equal to 52. But the bottom equation, where I multiply everything by 2, gives me 16x plus 4y, and 84 times 2 is 168. I'll add straight down. I'll get, what, 22x. Y's go away. This leaves me with 220. Divide by 22. X ends up being 10. So put x there is 10. Now if I want to find what y is, I can plug in x to either that equation, that one, or that one. I'll just go ahead and plug it into this first one. If x is 10, so it becomes 60 minus 4y is equal to 52. Subtract 60 from both sides. I get negative 4y is equal to negative 8. Divide both sides by negative 4. Y ends up being 2. Okay. Hopefully we should all have gotten DC correctly. That side there is the same as this side here. They're asking what is DC's length. Well, you've already said it once. You said that DC, which is 6x minus 4, is equal to 52. Okay? 6x minus 4y is 52. DC is 52. No algebra needed there. Erase some of this so we can do the next one. Here, we have alternate interior angles. That angle there, alternate interior, so 9x plus 9y is equal to 90, or sorry, just 9. And we also know that this angle here and here are alternate interior, so I'll say 10x minus 5y is equal to 25. I'm going to cancel my x's, so I need to make this one 90, and I'll make this one negative 90. So that's going to change my equation. My top equation is going to become 90x plus 90y equal to 90. The bottom equation is going to become negative 90x plus 45y is equal to 9 times 25 is 225. So this becomes negative 225. Now I can add straight down. Your x's are going to go away. You're going to get 135y is equal to negative 135. So y ends up being negative 1. Okay, once I find y, I can plug it into that equation, that equation, that equation, or that one to find x. We'll plug it into 9x plus 9y is equal to 9 equation. But y is now negative 1, so it's going to change this 9y to a negative 9. I'll add 9 to both sides. I get 9x is equal to 18. Divide by 9, x is 2. Okay. They ask you to find s as well. You don't need anything, need to know anything about x and y to find s. What you do know, though, is that this angle here is 25, and this one's 9. Okay. So, and all four of these angles should add up. All four angles of the parallelogram should add up to 360. So right now you've got 34 degrees here and 34 degrees with these two angles. That's 34 degrees, and this angle here is 34 degrees. So that's 68 degrees. Okay. You then want to take 360 minus those 68 degrees. So that's going to give you what, 292. Okay. So these two angles here should add up to 292. So if this is 2s, this is 2s. So I should have 4s is equal to 292. And if I take 4, or 292, divided by 4, 292 divided by 4 gives you 73. So S should be 73. A lot of us did the correct work for number 7, but ended up not understanding what our answer was telling us. Try to clear this up a little bit. Obviously, X and Z are the variables we're looking for. You know, if this is a parallelogram, so the diagonals bisect each other. So if that's 15, Z is going to be 50. I don't think anybody missed that. Okay? But I also know that this segment here should be congruent to that segment there. So we get negative x squared plus 30 is equal to x. What I would do is I would move everything over to the right-hand side with x, so that my x squared becomes positive. So I'll be at 0 on the left, x squared plus x minus 30. That's the way everything's going to move over. Now I'm going to look for how this factors. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply together to give me negative 30 and add to give me 1. Those two numbers to give me negative 30 and add to give me 1 are negative 5 and positive 6. So I'll rewrite this as x minus 5, x plus 6. If you're having trouble factoring, there are other videos on this website of how to factor. Go to the home page, go all the way down to the bottom, it says factoring. There's many, many, many examples of how to do it. I'm going to set x minus 5 equal to 0, x plus 6 equal to 0. That's going to be x to be 5, and x to be negative 6. Now, when I get two answers, I need to make sure that they both work. If I choose 5, plug 5 in here, I get x squared, which is 25. But the opposite of that would be negative 25 plus 30 will give me a distance of 5. So 5 is a perfectly legal distance. It's positive, so that works. Okay. When I plug it in over here, obviously plugging in a 5 for x gives me a positive distance there. But when I choose negative 6, negative 6 squared is 36. The opposite of that would be negative 36. Plus 30 will equal negative 6. So I can't have a negative distance, so negative 6 does not work. The easiest place to see that it does not work is here as well. If I plug in x to be negative 6, I get a to, let's call that point m. I get a to m to be negative 6, and that can't happen. So negative 6 does not work. 5 is the only one that works. I'm looking down here at the bottom one, number 9, or let's go number 8, I guess. It says measure of angle AEB. Well, this is a square. Diagonals of a square are perpendicular, so it's a right angle, so it should be 90 degrees. Not too many of us missed that. Doing number 9, it says AE, which is x squared plus 3x, and ED, which is 7x plus 21. Now, if we know that this is a square, the diagonals of a square are congruent. The diagonals of a square bisect each other. So all four of these parts of the diagonals should all be the same. So I should set up x squared plus 3x is equal to 7x plus 21. I've got an x squared, so I want to factor. So I'll move my 7x over, and it gives me 3x minus 7x is negative 4x. And I'll move my 21 over, gives me negative 21. Now what I'm looking for is two numbers that multiply together give me negative 21 and add up to give me negative 4. Well, that's negative 7 and positive 3. So it's going to factor to x minus 7 and x plus 3 equals 0. So now x minus 7 equals 0, so get x equals 7, and x plus 3 is equal to 0, so get x to equal negative 3. Okay. Now we got to think about two answers again. Which one works? Well, if I plug in 7, I'll get x squared, which is 49, plus 3 times 7, which is 21, so I'll get 70. And that works. AE, 70, don't have a problem with that. Over here, 7 times 7 is 49 again, plus 21 is 70. So 70 is a positive distance, so answer of x equals 7 works. If I look at 3, negative 3, I'll get negative 3 squared plus 3 times negative 3. Well, negative 3 squared is 9. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 9 minus 9 is 0. And if I have a distance, if this figure exists, I can't have a diagonal that has a distance of 0, or half a diagonal that has a distance of 0. Um, so that doesn't work. -3 does not work. Okay? So x equaling 7 is the only one that works. Now it asks to find BD. A lot of people put the answer to be 7. BD is this segment right here. What is that length? Well, we know that this is already 70. 7x plus 21. 7 times 7 is 49 plus 21 is 70. So this has to be 70. So BD is 140. If we missed any on the bottom of the true and false, it was because we don't know our vocabulary very well, and we don't know our properties very well. Okay, so you're going to see questions like this on the chapter 5 test, so you probably want to study true and false questions, study your properties, study your theorems, so you can get these correct. It says every rhombus is a parallelogram. That's true. The definition of a rhombus is it is a parallelogram in which all four sides are congruent. Every quadrilateral is a parallelogram. That is false. Okay? A quadrilateral is simply a four-sided figure. A trapezoid would be a four-sided figure if a trapezoid is not a parallelogram. Okay? This is a four-sided figure. That is not a parallelogram. Okay? Just because it's quadrilateral doesn't mean it's a parallelogram. However, if it's a parallelogram, then it is a quadrilateral. That is true because the definition of a parallelogram says it is a quadrilateral in which both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. Every rhombus is a parallelogram. That's true. Definition of a rhombus says it is a parallelogram in which all four sides are the same. Okay? Hopefully, if you got 10 right, you got 13 right. Look at those questions. They're the same. Every square is a rhombus. That is true. Okay? The definition of a square says it is a parallelogram in which all four sides are congruent and all four angles are congruent. Well, if all four sides are congruent, that qualifies it to be a rhombus as well. Every rectangle is a square. That is false. Okay, every rectangle is a square. The definition of a rectangle says it's just got four congruent angles. The definition of a square says it has four congruent angles and four congruent sides. So for a rectangle to be a square, it would have to have four congruent sides, and we don't know that by the definition of a rectangle. The diagonals of all parallelograms bisect opposite angles. That is false. This is only true for rhombuses and squares. Okay. 17, the diagonals of a rectangle are perpendicular. That is false as well. This is only true for rhombuses and squares.